School may finish, but learning doesn't. Life will continue to test you, no matter what age you are. And for that, you need a strong mindset to make the struggle with life work with you and not against you. This podcast is dedicated to using old head wisdom to explore what it means to be mentally strong, what it means to be successful, and how to get between tough times. We are Ricky and Keith Tillman. Thank you for watching today. Okay, so we're talking with Malik Tillman. We're covering being young, what it's like being young, and dealing with life. Being young, it's called being young and not knowing what to do early in life. So when you young in life, it's kind of you're still figuring out things in life, what you need to do and what you want to become, and what's it all about, and trying to figure out who you are as a person, how you fit into this world. And then you got the challenges of life, all the things in life that are coming at you. And when you've never experienced these things, you sort of just winging it a bit, trying to work it out. And so, one of the tools you sort of using to work it out is your own instincts, your common sense, and your environment, the people around you to help guide you and direct you with certain aspects of what life is being, with life coming at you. So you have a lot of tools to work with, but not everyone works with those tools. Some people try to tackle life all on their own. Some people have no choice but to tackle life all on their own. So one of the ways I looked at life is I use my own instinct, my own judgment, but I also watch other people, how they looked at life, how they pursued their life, and I look at the things and the choices that certain people made and the consequences, and then I made a determine decision that is not right for me, or that would work for me. So early in life, you just don't have the experience, or you've never been through certain things, so you are limited to what you can do. So you basically, as I said, you have to fall back on your your own past experience and also your instincts, and you have to fall back on your common sense, what makes sense to you. So you have to use your mind. You got to use your mind a lot. You got to be a thinker. It's important to be a thinker. So I don't know how you feel about it, Malik.
Yeah, well, on that last part, that's where it's tricky. Is if you're using, say, the resources of your experience, then like a 20-year-old has about 5 years of good life experience because you've been riding easy, depending on how you grew up, until you're about 15, 14, 15. So and then, life can get, you can experience more the mature challenges of life from about 15 onwards. Um, um, Identity crises, relationship issues, and so on. So, like a 20-year-old has had 5 years of experiences to draw from. So that's why I think it's a bit tricky, because you don't know a lot, and many different, say, people in areas in society are selling you like what the answer is to how to live, and you have to kind of pick. It's almost like a gamble. Do you follow what your parents say? Do you follow what your school says, what your culture says, what some person you're listening to on the internet says, what books say? There's just, everyone's telling you, prescribing um, their vision of life. And a young person has to uh, it kind of be at war with, um, say, what he has known up until that point, the, say, protection of his parents and schooling system, and the greater world, which is trying to tell him what he is. And there's a Bible story, one of my favorite, and I reckon personally one of the best, I'm not too familiar with it um, on a religious sense, but the story is awesome. It's the prodigal son. Have you heard of the prodigal son?
No.
So I think roughly, it's there is a father and two boys, and there's the younger boy and the older boy, and they come of age, and they get their inheritance early or whatever it is. They get some gift, and it's a large sum of valuable stuff. Sometimes it's money, sometimes it's this or that. People can adapt the story. The older brother is more, say, wise, maybe not wise, but he's more conservative in his family and he's close to his father, and he saved his money. The younger son was more reckless, and he went out, took his money or whatever it is, valuable stuff, and he went out and spent it, explored the world, lived lavishly, and then after a few years, he found himself eating alongside pigs or in a very bad way. And he came back to the father and said, "Father, help me." And what the father did, to the older brother's surprise, is he said, "Come back in, and we're going to throw a party and slay the fatty calf," which is like a tradition for celebratory tradition. And the older brother's like, "Why? Well, I've been with you, working with you on the farm and so on. You know, I kept my inheritance for later on in life. Why are you celebrating him when I've been with you this whole time?" And my favorite, say, lesson to this story is that it's a when you were young, you kind of have to go into the world and lose yourself. The director Guy Ritchie gave an explanation to this on a podcast. You have to lose yourself and, his words, prostitute yourself out to the world, please other people, live lavishly, and do all the things you kind of shouldn't do, for you to learn that all you need in the end is yourself.
Mhm.
And the story there was that the father of the two boys represents yourself, and you kind of have to, as a young person, it's not that you have to do it, it's kind of what, like, if you're young and you don't really know, and especially if you haven't been given a concrete, this is the way you live life, that sometimes a religion can give. Some people don't have religion. If you don't have that, you kind of have to find it yourself. So it's a parable about venturing out, only to realize that the only thing that you need is, yourself. So that's my favorite story on the war between, you know, you yourself and the greater world, and knowing who to
Okay, carry on.
yeah. So anyway, that's just a little story on um it resonated to me maybe at this point in my life, that there is this battle between um who you are and what the world will tell you what you are, and who do you listen to. And it seems obvious that you listen to yourself, but there are many things, say, in the broader world which are very uh what's it called? Tempting, maybe. It could be money, or becoming a rich and powerful person, or becoming someone of social status, or um, and there are many, say, temptations to be something more than what you are. And it's kind of a story to kind of say, no matter what you have in life or where you are, you're just always yourself. So anyway, I just like that story. I thought it was very relevant to this, because yeah, a young person has to determine what's valuable. You listed some. Your instinct is a path that you can take. Living by watching others, religion can reinforce the way to go. Your culture can reinforce the way to go. So it takes a while, I think, for you to kind of tease them out and know what is useful and what is not useful. Just the same as when I was in high school, um, there were things that seemed valuable to every high schooler: your social order, like what you're wearing that day and if it's going to be weird, and all these little things that do not matter to the broader world. But yeah, ask the average high school student is the most important thing in the world. So and then it just took growing up to learn that those things meant nothing. Your high school social status thing meant everything then, but you realize that it was a poor value to kind of follow. And yeah, and then there's other values which are important. Yeah.
Yeah, those are the nuts and bolts of making the right decision and living and dying by it. Keep yourself out of
Mm,
trouble. It's when you
mm,
understand what your core value is. If you run from the inside out. See, a lot of people where we mostly get taught with information coming from the outside and we bring it in.
mm,
The teacher, the parents,
mhm,
the friends, everything's coming
mhm,
from the outside in. But you have
mhm,
to balance that out by thinking from the inside out.
mm,
So how I do it is going back to what you just said, understanding who you are. And I know when you're young, you're still discovering who you are. So when
mhm,
you I say when you finish in school, you really, even before that, but you really need to get busy on discovering, paying attention to, giving some real concentrated effort on who you are as a person and what you want to become as a man or a woman.
mm,
So how do you do that? You have to, with all the things that are coming at you, and all the distraction and all the trying to pursue life and goals and dreams, you have to really mm, start with you first and say, I'm going to do all this pursuing and challenging and chasing and all that. But first, I need to discover or get a good handle on who I am, what my core values are. So when you go out into the world, you make decisions. Decisions are based upon your core values. And if you're making decisions and about your life or about your friendship, about your world, based upon your core values, most of the time they're going to be the right things.
mhm,
And then when they're not the right thing, you can live and die by that because you made them based upon your core values. You didn't get influenced by your friend or somebody whispered in your ear and swayed you to think and act a certain way. You did it because you chose to do it. So those are the things a
mhm,
person who's in touch with who they are and got a strong core value are able to do. If you're not in touch with who you are and by putting a lot of time into who you are and how you think, then you can easily get caught up with how other people think. So
mhm.
because we're so used to bringing everything in from the outside in, so you have to
Yeah,
start with from the inside outward. What is my
but
heart? What
even
is my
even even though we know that that is right, you have to follow yourself. It's understandable for people to not do that. Like, even though it's wrong, you can kind of someone, let's say if you have someone who hasn't had, say, parents tell them what's what, what's left from right, what's up and down, or they haven't had say, maybe a religion or a schooling system that cares, and um, like you have school kids and everything like that in Australia, but let's say if you have someone like that, the next best thing which is wrong, but it makes sense. The next best thing is what your friends say. It's what what you watch on YouTube or what's on in music videos or in movies and so on. And there's also say these temptations which say being rich is the answer. Being high status is the answer. Having all these lavish resources and this and that. That's what you need to do and be. And that message not only is very reinforced in our society, but it's very tempting because it's a very easy thing to follow. Where the only work I need to do is, the only purpose in my life is for me to accumulate, uh, say, social status and look cool in front of other people. And that's why I think it's so, especially nowadays, why people follow it so much. So I kind of understand it, um, especially that feeling of, let's say, when I was in high school, and then there was a bunch of things that the say kids were doing or the cool kids were doing or whatever, and you kind of knew it was this isn't me. Like I don't know, this is like the kind of person I am, but you kind of do it anyway because it's what's cool. And it's it seems like a shameful thing to admit, but I think I would say everyone has had that. Whether there's the group, and then you kind of go along with it to kind of be in with them. And that 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 example, I feel, is what happens with young people on a larger scale, on the scale of going to university and picking a job only because it's going to increase your social status or wealth. Um, and the only reason why you want the wealth is say for not because you genuinely want to say want money to look after your family, but rather because you want to be above financially and so on, right? And I feel like that effect, I've felt when I've been tempted to, kind of go along and in university and study what's normal and what's going to get me a good paying job and so on, and what has a good, like, sheen, pretentious kind of look to it, so such as studying law. There's all these things that pull and tug at a young person to kind of tell them this is what you need to do. This is what you need to be. Don't be yourself. Yourself is not good enough. It's lame. Um, Go over and be someone else because it has a shine. It has a more of a shine to it. You'll be better. More people like you. Um, yeah, and that's the message, that you shouldn't be yourself. You should be what other people want you to be. And I feel like that's a strong message. It's wrong, but I felt it and I see it, especially in my peers. So uh yeah, that's what I think. You kind of have to give the devil his due there. That it's not like people are stupid. Uh, it makes sense that if you don't really have a strong reason to believe, say, in yourself, the next best thing is to believe what the world tells you you should be. And
Yeah. Well,
yeah, and it's yeah.
yeah, it's the same thing what I said before. It's all information coming from the outside in.
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
trying to create this shiny ball for people to like. So you want to be
Hmm.
you trying to become what you think people will like. So you can get the oohs and the ahs to prove, and then that proves that yeah, you are what you thought you were because you
Yeah.
everyone else is saying it. But
Yeah,
this
and
is
it's soul destroying.
so this is the weapon. The topic is how do you um, cope with, how you handle the things as a young person in life.
Hmm.
Well, you have to be very in tune to who you are. Self development, self discovery, and self awareness and self understanding. So again, that's coming from the inside outward. So when
Hmm.
you are in tune to who you are as a person, you don't need another person to validate your position. You don't need someone to
Hmm.
say, "Oh, Malay, you're fantastic." You don't need that because you already either believe it or live in that life because your values are saying everyone's fantastic. Everyone's honorable. Everyone's born there to have that. But society teaches us, oh, if you don't have this, you don't have that, then you less than. So that's all coming from the outside. So you have to
Hmm.
be very sharp on who you are from the inside. You have to be confident on who you are from the inside. So you don't need
Hmm.
the outside feedback to prove that you're somebody. But a lot of
Yeah.
people who are not in tune to that within themselves, they get caught up in that. Well, if only I had this, if only if I could be this, based on what society is saying is fantastic. The movie stars, the money, the glitz and the glamour.
Mm.
So that's caught up from the outside material stuff, outside world. But
Mm.
the important things in life is not what you get and what you have, it's what you become. So you have to be that person that say, man, I can have nothing. I can have absolutely nothing and still feel like I'm somebody because I am somebody. So you have to train yourself and teach yourself and build those core values. Say, I am what I am, and I'm proud of who I am. No matter what I have or what I don't have, you got to be really good with who you are. and then whatever life comes at you, you got the weapons, you got the tools, and you got the basket to put it in. So what I mean is, when you start achieving things, you're achieving them because you want to achieve them, not because you need to achieve them, to validate yourself. Say, I'm great because I've done this. I was great before I started.
mm,
Now, because I am great, I'm able to do these things, not because I'm great because I've done them. So
mm,
you have to have a very full-on understanding, or start developing an understanding of your core values and who you are. So you don't need what society is saying you need. You don't believe in what is normal. You say normal stuff, but what is normal? That's what people never ask. What is normal? Because what's normal to you is not normal to someone else. So what is
mm,
normal? So
mm,
society is saying this is normal. If you don't act this way or you don't do this, then you weird or you strange. And
mm.
going back to what you said in the high school where you felt the need to fit in, everyone feels that because of human beings. But again,
Mm,
my weapon for that, I've felt it too, and I've been through it. And
mm.
you soon realize, oh shit, that's not me. That's
Yeah.
not who
Yeah. I
I am.
think it's something you have to go through. Yeah.
But the reason why you have a short string on that, some people never grow out of that, and you see adults are still following and still trying to
Hmm.
figure it, because they don't have that core value of self awareness, self esteem, and self of importance. So they still
Yeah.
constantly need the friends around them to prove that they're someone.
Yeah.
Need society or status and all that. So the weapon you need in battling the confusion of life is self awareness, self
Hmm.
assessment, self value, and so when you're aware of who you are, all these things that come at you, you can say, "Well, that's great, but it ain't for me, and I'm good. I'm glad. I'm happy." You
Mm,
might have the nice shiny car with the new rims. I don't have that, but I'm happy with what I have. But I'm
mm.
also looking at your struggles. While you got the nice shiny car with blue rims, you're crying and you're upset and you're angry or you what all the above, and you're never
Yeah.
satisfied. Whereas I don't
That
have that.
that
And I'm satisfied as where I'm at.
yeah. That I think is another element to it that I think I focus on a bit more. Like uh you have to realize that, as you were saying, it's you, it's yourself. That you have to realize kind of the virtue and value of yourself. But the flip side to that, which I also think is true, is that listening to what's coming out, what's coming in, whatever that normally seems to prescribe to you, it doesn't work. Like, um, if you think that the path to fulfillment is fitting in with other people, it doesn't work. If the answer is not yourself, then it doesn't work. Um, like you can't say achieve like deep fulfillment or satisfaction by living a life that appeases other people or yeah. So I think that's a like a self reminder thing I have to remind. Let's say if there's like a glitz or glamorous thing that I think, you know, say maybe other people are involved in, and then I go, oh, should I be involved in this? Um, and then it seems like there's this, this in crowd that's doing better than the rest of us. They're not doing better than the rest of us. Um, the truth is that any strategy that doesn't begin with yourself, in quotes, yourself first, is not an efficient strategy. Um, it's a false promise. What's that? I don't know. There's a biblical term for it, but yeah, maybe like a way of viewing it is that there's a lot of voices in society that you can kind of call false prophets. There's prophets which say that the path to your salvation is the acquisition of money, is the acquisition of fame, is the acquisition of desirability of your peers, is all of these um, you know, people, and then also just broader ideas which tell you what you should be and what you shouldn't, and they don't work. they might work for a brief period of time, or they might give the appearance of working, but they don't work at the core of it. And that's something I was actually thinking about yesterday. Was that um, like, let's say if I for a lot of people, when they become successful, and I use successful in quotes because I don't mean the real success, which is I think you told me one time that you viewed that your father was successful, in that he was a successful man, loved by his family, community, and lived like a great fulfilling life. And that is the definition in your eyes of successful man. And I agree with that. I think that is true success. But then you have the superficial success of being rich and high value in the eyes of strangers and so on. And when you look at people like that, because I was speaking to a guy who was my age, and he was a successful student, or he was in some big internship thing going on for some big company. He was studying law and, high level Juris Doctor thing. Anyway, but he did not really actually like what he was doing, and but he did it for the sake of all of the uh, say status he got from holding those positions. But at the same time, he said, that what he did was right, and he's kind of living the good life. And I was thinking, how much of his living the good life is because what he's doing is actually a really good, really important and valuable thing to the human, to being a person, and how much of it is him just being satisfied that he uh, met the qualifications of what society determined he should be. So what I mean by that, I'll break that down. Um, he had this that, especially in our circle in university and so on, there's this high view of people who do law, people who do go into these big firms and so on, and it's seen as successful if you do that. Um, but like, doing that can give you satisfaction that you've met the fulfillments of other people, or you're satisfied that other people are viewing you as really well achieved. um and something I found, in the running of, say, my business, is that I have to distinguish between the joy that I get, that is from the practice itself, and the joy that I get in that I'm doing something, let's say, that other people like, or that is outwardly successful. Am I making sense in that? That makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, so going back to being a young person, there's also that. There's the that even a lot of the things that will tell you what you should be. Um, Sometimes it even feels good to go along with the crowd, or to be something bigger than yourself. Um, but these things, I think, are very superficial, and they're not deep in what's important. Uh,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think another great tool to carry with you is you got to get comfortable with letting other people be themselves and you be yourself. So
Hmm.
whatever makes other people complete, or they think is making them complete and happy, and you know that's not you, be okay with that. And say that's great, that's fantastic
Hmm.
for you. But when you bring in some people get jealous because you have something that they don't.
Hmm.
That's not a good thing because they're not self-aware, and they're not comfortable in their own skin. When you're comfortable in your own skin, you can say it's okay for you to have what you have and get what you get. I'm happy for you, and I got what I got. I desire more, but I got what I got, and I'll pursue it. So that takes a lot of the pressure of life too, because all around you, there's things people are doing that are doing more, or achieving more, or receiving more, or got more than you have. But there's certain things that
Yeah.
you have more up than others. So you have to keep your mind right and be comfortable with the idea that yes, other people may be achieving more in the eyes of success than I have, and you got to be okay with that. Because if you're
Yeah,
not okay with that, then you compare yourself to others, and when you compare yourself to others, that's wasting energy, wasting
yeah.
emotion, and it's a distraction on you achieving and being your greatest. So you
Yeah,
get caught
I
up
think I
in
think it's why it's important to how you define success. Like, because if you have someone who thinks success is being rich, then that's not true. First of all, like that cuts out a certain like portion of very
well,
valuable
you
people.
got financial success.
And
That's it.
yeah, yeah, that's why you can segment it, of course.
Right.
But there is the categories of successful, but then there's that overall term people use as successful. And I personally think I genuinely believe this as well, that like true success is like is the success of being a well-rounded person. I used to not believe that and think that you need to meet some qualifier of you know money and notoriety and all of that. I don't think that. I think that uh, success is being a well-rounded and complete person who is like careful by his people who are important to him. So when I
Hold on,
see things such as
hold on
yeah,
1 second. So let's connect the dots, and I'll let you carry on.
mhm,
So if that's what you believe, then you have to bring in order to achieve what you want to achieve right there, you have to bring in the self awareness, the self values, because in order to achieve what you just say, you have to be self aware. So
mhm,
the first step in dealing with life and what life is gonna and how you handle it is self awareness. How you
mhm,
fit into the life, how you fit into the world, and then start breaking down the philosophies that are going to cause you harm.
mm,
So if you believe that society dictates who you are to be a happy person or a successful person, you're on the wrong track. You need to work on that awareness. That's the thing. Self-awareness, self-development, self. So I'm gonna finish with this one and you carry on. I was just reading a book the other day from the Dalai Lama talking about happiness. Some people have mentioned the word, if you're a person that's pursuing your own happiness, then you're a selfish person. So and if you and there's an argument could be stated, well, if you're only focusing in on yourself, then you're a selfish person. But let's look at it this way. Where have you ever met anyone in this world that's done something good for others that wasn't happy, right? In some way. So you have to, it's the happy people that make a difference in the world, right? It's the real happy people that actually have the energy, the want to give back to the world. So it's hard for you to give your most to the world if you're an unhappy person. So and so in order to be happy, you have to be self-aware. Selfish, self. So that don't mean you're a selfish person. That means you're a smart one when it comes to dealing with life. So, all right, carry on what you were saying.
um, I do think that's interesting though, because you find that very negative people are always talking about others, like always talking about like the flaws of others.
Mm.
Um, like they're very judgmental, um, very uh like seething at other people, even in just little things. Like yeah, that is interesting. Whereas happy people, it's almost like their happiness kind of leaks out of them.
Yeah.
Um,
Can a self,
yeah.
how can a self-destructive person, which is a unhappy one, in my opinion, be um, be able to assist and help you out to be happy or help you out to be
Mm,
successful?
mm,
Um, so yeah, I have to look more into that. I don't want to say too much about that, but that made a good point in my mind that yeah, it's kind of twisted that people turn someone who's happy into someone who's selfish.
mm,
So, but that's what happened. Happy people are the ones that make a big impact on others. And you can
mm,
be happy. You have to be self-aware. What makes you happy? So you got to be good
mm,
at ticking those boxes off. So you have to have a real understanding that you better believe the happy people have had bad things happen to them. They've had
mhm,
setbacks. They've had
mm,
failures. But how they deal with that is they understand on the whole, this is minimal to my happiness. When bad things
mm,
happen to you, it's minimal to your happiness. So you create you still you have that aura around you that unhappy stuff can't penetrate. Bad things can happen, but you still maintain your core value and your core happiness. So
mm,
you have to get good at studying what creates happiness in your life and how do you maintain it. The only way you do
mm,
this is self-awareness. Self-awareness, self-development, self the ability to understand what's important to you and what isn't
mm,
important. And so, but when you have these distractions, somebody said, "Well, this is important. If you get the fancy car, or if you get the $1 million in the bank account, that's important to you." If you convince yourself that that's what your success is, then you're looking for outside stuff. And nothing. What
mhm,
about your core? You as a person. What 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 makes me smile? What makes keeps me dignified? What keeps me walking with my chest out and my heart filled? All the stuff from the inside. When you develop those skills and those philosophies from the inside, now you got the armor to face all the other stuff that everyone else has. You want to be this, you want to be that. You got to have this and you got to have that. No, no, I got to have what I got, and that's me being really strong with who I am, what I believe in, and what can't break me down. When you got all of that, you can fight off all the stuff that's coming at you because everyday stuff is coming at you. It's coming from when you go to school, your teachers who share their philosophies of life and their beliefs because everyone's in the same boat. You have highly respected people with terrible philosophies and terrible ideas and what they believe that is successful, right? Um, and so they impose that onto you when you're sitting there listening to it as a student or as a child. And so you've been targeted or been affected by people that you respect and you believe it. So if you don't have a strong core, you can't challenge that. You can't say, "Oh, Mr. and Mrs. I don't know if I understand that or believe that based on my core values. I respect you, but I don't believe in that." And you can respectfully disagree and keep on moving. But if you're someone who's not aware or haven't put the work in, you fall right into the trap because you highly regard these people. They respect it, and you believe everything that come out of their mouth to be true. That's how people get caught up. You got to be really self-aware in order to sort of have a steady flow through this thing called life. So,
mhm,
and that is the ticket. That is the secret to doing your best in this life. Self-awareness. Every day you get up, you got decisions to make. You got things coming at you. You got things that are trying to influence you. Things that are shaping your thought patterns, your friends, your clothes that you wear, the shoes you wear. Everything is influencing the mind, and you can believe it wholeheartedly. You can see some people think they're on cloud nine because they got a brand new pair of shoes. It makes you feel some kind of way. But what happens when the shoes get old? Then where you at? You're still the same, still a person, but now you're less than. So you've let a pair of shoes influence your mind. So you got to understand that. Hold on, I could walk on cloud nine with no shoes on and still be me. One of the things that got me over the hump is when I was a young person, yeah, struggling and like, thinking either I wish I could be this, I wish I could be better at this, and then got back to that statement when Moses went up to the mountain and he asked God, "Who are you?" And God said, "Hey, I am what I am," and that hit me through the chest. Boom. And it released so much tension and pressure off me because I was putting a lot of pressure on myself to say, "Hey, who am I? And I'm not good enough, but I am what I am. And that's why I said to you, remind yourself when you stepped out, you got to say, hey, I am what I am, and be good with that. Now, if there's things about you that you want to improve on, spend your life improving on them. But don't let it be something that's destroying your soul because you feel like,
Mm,
man, I'm no, some people that tell themselves, I'm nobody, I'm nothing, I'm useless. And that's what the self development part in comes in play. If they put some time on developing who they are and really developing their core skill values, they would say, hold on, yeah, I am somebody. I'm somebody because I'm who I am. I am who I am. And so that helped me to leapfrog me to give me the real energy and the strength, and I never looked back. I never had that fear uh or feeling that I'm no one, or I'm less than.
mm,
Man, I
mm,
am what I am, but better believe I'm not
mm,
perfect. You better believe I
mm,
don't have everything. You better believe I'm not doing all the right things. You better believe that I'm not. I'm just a human being, but I am what I am. And when you say that,
yeah.
and you got to tell yourself, look in the mirror and say, you know what, I am what I am, and I'm good with that. And
Mm,
that will take you to the next level, so you can say, well, if you're struggling here, struggling there, everyone struggles on certain things. So it makes you different. You're not
mm,
special. You know, we're all people, so we're no special being that we're gonna have be able to tick everything off and be perfect at everything and do everything correctly all the time. That's just not realistic. But we put those pressures on ourselves. Say, why can't I do this? Well, you can't do it because you've never done it before. You can't be great at everything, but you got to get started to be great. So you got to keep trying and keep trying. So you're gonna have failures. So in life, when you're young, there's gonna be a lot of failures. Even when you're older, it's gonna be.
mm,
But see, this is the thing. People want to run away from the failures, want to avoid failures. Those are the mistakes. When you're self aware, you understand that you have to face failure to be successful. You
mm,
got to fall off the horse and get back on it. Dust yourself off and keep moving. Don't stand there and cry in a puddle of mud and say, woe is me. Or I'm terrible. I'm useless. I'm not going to do this. I'm not. What good is that? Get up, dust yourself off like a cowboy. Fall off the horse, dust yourself off, and keep moving. Jump back on the horse, and off we go. And he end up getting to his destination. So that's a philosophy of life. If you fall off the horse, dust yourself off, get back on it. Those things are very key to life. To have little cliches or proverbial statements like that, where you fall off the horse, get up, and dust yourself off. That gives the brain something to latch on to, as opposed to, oh, just lost, my house is burnt down. I'm never gonna recover, and just dwell in the mud. No, your house is burnt down. Get up, dust yourself off, keep moving. Now it ain't easy, but that's what you use to step back on the podium. You use a little stuff like that. You don't have to be great to get started, but you got to get started to be great. It's a true statement across the board, and so many people don't get started because they want to start great. So, but if you tell yourself, hold on, I'm not great, but I don't have to be great to get started, but I got to get started to be great. So those things I take with me, little stuff. I bring that on, put it in my bag of mental weapon. So when I go to do something that I've never done, I say, well, how are you gonna do that? You don't even know how to do it. Don't have to be great to get started, but I got to get started to be great. If I believe that to be a true statement, then I have to believe that I can do what I need to do because I'm not. It's all new stuff.
mm,
So those are another little tools that I use. Finding little weapons that I can take on, philosophies that I can use in life, things that you learn from others. You should be a people watcher. You watch people, you watch the world, you pay attention, you understand that there's consequences to every action. So then you take the time to make as much as you can the best decisions. You just don't run into
mm,
them. There's bullets being fired. So
mm,
so be a thinker, but you don't be an overthinker. Just think, trust your.
mm,
What I'm learning now is to get in touch with your intuition to get in touch with your hunches and follow your hunches. If you do that, that's your core value speaking to you. Your core value is not going to let you down. Because as I said, if you follow your hunch and follow your intuition, and if you happen to get it wrong, you can live by that because you've done it from the inside out. You didn't do it from what you saw out there. It's like you have a group of people running and you just see people running, you start running. You're just looking from the outside and you run with them. But they might be running in the wrong direction. So instead of following your instinct, thinking on inside, well, what are they running from? Or what are they running to? You sit and you ascertain, you think about it, and you assume see that some people running in this direction, some people running in the other direction. So what's the right direction? So you have to take the time to look a little deeper. Okay, there's fire over here. So they running in the right direction. These people running in the wrong direction. So it's all about taking your time, studying who you are, becoming who you are, self-awareness, and don't let outside influences who you are. And you'll get good at that when you're very good at who you are, understanding who you are. It's kind of difficult to not get influenced and not to fall into the traps when you don't know who you are and what you stand for. They're saying, if you don't believe in something, you'll fall for anything. So if you don't have a core value of who you are, core strength of self-development of who you are, then you're just going to follow everyone else's who's confused like you. You're going to follow. If you would put 10 people in the room, all 10 of them are going to be similar. We're going to be confused little souls trying to figure out life. So if you don't have some sort of grasp on who you are and some decision making who you are, you're going to follow all of those people in the room or the leader in that room. You're going to follow that person. And he could be just as confused as you are. So the important thing is to always make decisions on who you are. I've done it all my life. I had friends that made decisions about their life using drugs. However, I would look at it and say, no, that's not for me. Now, you got the peer group pressure and all this sort of stuff. Then fall for that because that's a word. Peer group pressure. That's what people use to fall into the trap. That for me is a weapon to use against it. I don't like the word peer group pressure. I don't like it. I don't like nobody feeling like they're gonna put pressure on me. Now, how do I have that strength? Because I know I can stand alone and be good. But if I didn't feel like I could stand alone, I needed people's support and all that, then I said, well, I can't lose that support. And I fall for that peer group pressure. That to me annoys. That's like bullying. So you put all these things together and say, well, you know what? I will never let someone else influence, dictate my life. I will never let situation control my life. Only I will. As they say, you have to learn to be the master of your own domain. You have to learn to be the captain of your own ship. The captain goes down with the ship. If the ship goes in the Navy, if the ship goes down, then the captain stays on board. He goes down with the ship, right? Because he's the captain of the ship. He's there to keep that ship afloat. He's got all the responsibility, everything. And when things go wrong, you go down with it. So if I'm the captain of my own ship, I'm not going to let the sailors and everybody else dictate where we're going, navigate. I'm going to dictate that. So you don't let other people, friends, foes, family dictate where you go in life when you're self-aware and you got your core values. Now you have to be still willing to listen and ascertain what is good information, what isn't, because you don't know all the answers. You don't have all the answers. That's just arrogant. So you have to be smart enough to say, I don't know this. Let me listen to someone who's wiser, who I believe, who I respect, and then I can make a more informed decision. But best believe I'm still gonna make that decision myself. That's pretty much. Be self-aware, be smart enough to understand that you don't know everything, and don't be arrogant and not listen to anything. That's just foolishness. But you have to get good at following your core value. Get good at trusting your hunches. following your intuition, your instincts. Because as you said, when you were on the schoolyard, you followed the kids, but you knew straight off the bat before you probably even put that one step in, you knew that wasn't you. So that's a real saying to yourself that you're self-aware. A lot of people would have went right in there and would have had a second thought, and they've been right in the mix. And you would bring it to them and say, you know what I know about you, this doesn't seem like you. And they look at you like a deer in the headlight because they have no clue on who they are. To the fact that they're in the middle of doing it and don't even know that they're doing something that's not them. It's the people that's self-aware to say, I'm about to do this act. I know it's not me, but you guess what? You do it anyway. And you learn. You learn and say, hold on, I did that. I felt a certain kind of way with that. I'm not going to put myself in that position again. And you probably didn't. So that's self-aware. So that don't mean you're not going to make mistakes. That don't mean you're not going to follow others. It's just when you do, you soon quickly find out that, oh, I don't slip here. I don't find myself following this person or doing something that goes against my core value. And you're going to do that because you're a human being. But if you're self-aware, you're going to pull out of that real quick. Say, yo, y'all go ahead. Go ahead. This ain't for me. I just realized when I went too far. This is just not for me. And you that's self-aware. Or if you ride in a car with your mates and they start doing crazy things, you start out fun, you're like, hold on, we're about to do something that's gonna, and he said, stop the car, let me out. They'll look at you. You getting out of the car with your homeboys? Yeah. But this ain't for me. That's self-aware. What you guys are doing about to do something that's gonna cause some harm to me or yourself or someone else. So that's self-aware. That don't mean you're not going to make the mistake. It just means that your self-awareness is going to keep you out of some kind of trouble. And so, yeah, it's all kind of things that are going to pop up. But when you're self-aware, you might catch it before, during, or after. You might go complete the task and say, well, I did that, and that was definitely not me. So when it pops up again, you say, nah, that is not me, and I'll never let it happen again. That's still being in control. You might have completed the task that you weren't in full control, but you're still in control. So when the next time pops up in life, it teaches you. You learn from that experience. You got away with it, but I'll never do it again. So there you go.
Yeah.
All right, bro. We're gonna end it there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good.
So I'm just sitting here thinking. Obviously, we're gonna do this with Keith, and but it's gonna be some time that you and I can do that. I think we could be a good team as well. So,
Yeah.
all right, we'll think about that.
Yeah. That's good.
Mm.
Yeah.